she should have known if it was coming from you, it was going to be trouble. All right. Today we'll break it into two sections. If you don't have the resources, jollyrogerukulele.com. If that's where you want to go to pick up your paperwork. And I got an email from somebody saying today, hey, I can't link on the other ones for the week, and I only have Smile up there so far. I like to really, for you guys, because we're going to be digging into, am I crooked? I think I'm crooked. For you guys, I've been really double checking the music and really trying to get it as close to right as possible. I know a lot of you guys are going to download this stuff and take it back to your ukulele communities and see if you can talk a few of them into joining you for either duets or maybe a small group where you play this stuff. So I am really working at giving you just clean, beautiful stuff, triple, quadruple checking it. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but I do definitely want you to have good stuff. And so be patient on that next level stuff. The intro stuff is the stuff I teach all of the time, but the next level stuff, I am trying to clean it up and get it as close to perfect as possible for you. So there's that. Let's dig into Amazing Grace today. And hey, Kat. Hey, Linda. Glad you guys are here. We are going Amazing Grace. The purpose of Amazing Grace when you're at the level that we're working at in here is to get us comfy with the idea of holding a chord and seeing how much horsepower we can get out of it. And so with Amazing Grace, first of all, let's run through and sing it and make sure that you know what you're getting into. Okay, make sure you have some sense of the song. It's in 3. That means you're going to strum 3 times for every measure. If you are next level player, you're going to be plucking with your claw 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And again, just making sure you're grabbing all 4 strings, not necessarily all 4. You can just use 3 as well, 2, 3. But I like to use 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am just trying not to make my hand go flying. I'm trying not to make my elbow do anything weird. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And notice what a angle it is that my fingers are on quite an angle when I'm holding the claw position. I don't want to be like this because my fingers won't have any room to work. So I'm going to have a claw position like that. Hey, Jackie, welcome in. Come on, happy Easter to you. Merry Easter Bunny. Okay. So that's the right hand shape. And then if you are really trying to work on top level stuff, you might be thinking about digging into an arpeggio pattern on here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you can also do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so be thinking about what you could do right hand wise. As instrumentalists, one of the things that we get a chance to do is bring a whole lot of ourselves to this. We have the basic melody. We can do all sorts of interesting things with our instrument that vocalists don't necessarily have. They don't have quite the same latitude in terms of what they get to do because they're dealing with a one note at a time instrument. And some of them are better than others, obviously. You're about to meet somebody who's really terrible at it. Let's sing the song. Make sure you know your chords. G chord, for those of you who are from the chord tradition, make sure your index finger's on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, middle finger this way, and ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. If you guys are teachers, don't let your students do it upside down. Okay, a lot of them, about 30% of my students end up doing index finger here, middle finger here, and ring finger here. And you can't let them do that. They got to get this one in correctly. Down the road, it's going to mess them up if they're upside down. So, and it's surprising how many students I get to do that. Okay, so there's your G chord. Okay, measure 4, you're going to run into a C chord. That's our home planet right there. Just make sure you're using your ring finger. Okay, I got the cursor right dead square in my eyeball. And then we got a D7. That's the open D7. Okay, index finger, middle finger. Okay, and that's it. That's the only chords in the whole song. Let's go through and do it real quick. Make sure we're all on the same page. The first note is a rest. The second note is a rest. The third note is the pickup note into measure 2 there. And it's going to be and Kathy told me, yeah. Find your first note, and then you'll be a little more successful. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. 2, 3, 1, 2. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 2, 3. Okay, let it ring out. Don't take this off until it's completely done doing its job. That's the song. Nothing to it particularly. I will mention I make this joke in my intro classes, and sometimes it freaks people out, but I'm going to make it here anyway. In music, as an instrumentalist, you get to do 2 jobs. You get to play weddings and you get to play funerals when you're not teaching private lessons. And weddings pay about $350, funerals pay about $500. Or you do them for free if you know the person. So you want them to be ones that you don't know the person. So $350 and $500. Yeah, right. And you're willing to be a little flexible on the funeral arrangements. The wedding ones, you have to learn whatever stupid song the bride likes, which is never a song you're ever going to play again. You have to deal with the mother-in-law and the mother, right? Both of them. They're going to be a problem. The only one who likes you that day as a musician is the father of the bride, because you're the smallest check he's going to write for that day, and he loves you. He's just delighted that you showed up at all. So that's how weddings work. And inevitably, I have had to do so many new songs for weddings that I was like, why am I putting all this energy into this song that's ridiculous? Meanwhile, at funerals, you only have to know Over the Rainbow, Amazing Grace, and Love Me Tender. And the guy who's lying there in the box just sounds tremendous. He sounds like a great guy. So I'm delighted I'm there. And the food is basically about as good at a funeral as it is at a wedding. So when you have your choice, play the funerals. They're the way to go. All right, now we've got Amazing Grace. You got those things. You learn how to make that really come alive, and it's going to be awesome. Let's see. I saw a fellow. Let me answer this question. I saw a Hawaiian fellow yesterday playing G with his middle, index, and pinky. What she's saying, she did see a Hawaiian person yesterday, probably a video with doing this. And the reason you do that is that then this leaves this open. If you wanted to play, say, an A chord up here on 4, then you can add this. You can get a different A chord. So that's why he was doing that. And usually when you see that type of a player, you can bet the guitar is their first instrument because he's leaving this finger useful for bar chording. So that's what's going on there. Hi, Jim. All right. Now we've got the chords. They're not hard on this song at all. So now let's go through and make sure we can play the melody right. Some of you read standard notation. Some of you read tablature. And let me again put out my advertisement for tablature. We use standard notation on stuff to tell us how long to hold the note, but outside of that, standard notation is not necessarily that great on fretted instruments. It does not necessarily give us the information that we need. And whereas tablature gives us much clearer directions in terms of how to hold and play our instrument. And so when you're looking at tablature versus standard notation, my preference is to go with tablature, and 99% of ukulele players who play in an instrumental way, they would way rather see tablature than standard notation. Now, those of you with prior knowledge who have studied your sheet music and you're like, this is the way to go, it's super helpful, but it is not the way to go by a long shot. The only reason that we care about standard notation in classical guitar is that you can't go to college unless you can read standard notation. Otherwise, we'd all play from tablature there as well. All of the loop music was written on tablature until they turned it into a weird academic activity. And so don't think that if you can't read the standard notation that you are limited. You are not. Tablature is a tremendously helpful way of writing the ukulele information. And the nice part about tablature is once you can read it well, you can play mandolin and guitar and balalaika and baritone ukulele. You can play all the other fretted instruments right away because they're all written the same. Banjo, you can play banjo. You don't want to play banjo, but you could. Let's see. Who else is logging in here? Vicky got in late. Well, it's Easter. What are you going to do, Vicky? Masahi, oh my gosh, so exciting that you're here. I can't believe it. We sat next to each other for an entire week down in Colorado Springs. So delighted you're here, buddy. Linda, glad you're here. Happy Easter to you. And Warren, nice to see you. Welcome. All right, now let's play the tablature on, or the ukulele line here, and notice as you're looking through it, when I always kind of glance through it, see what kind of tragedies I'm going to be running into. I'm going to be having a 2 and a 3, and then I have a 5 here. I don't have any 1s. So when we're thinking smart things as a ukulele player, we can stay in our usual first position. You see Henry wandering back around there. He's in here doing his deal. Middle finger on 2, ring fingers for 3, and pinky fingers on 5. That's 100% acceptable. That's probably how I would take it. Then the next thing would be, should I go into second position and do my 2s with my index, 3s with my middle, and then pinky is set up a little bit more conveniently? Either of those would be perfectly acceptable answers. And so whatever you think is the best thing for you, do it. Okay, this is where we get into some positional choices. Make the one that makes the most sense. Masahi asks, one of the little black dots next to some of the numbers. Let's go, like if you look at measure 8, there's a 5 with a dot next to it. What that's telling you is that you're going to hold it longer than you think. Okay, so anytime you see a dot next to a note, you're going to hold it longer than the note says. So if the note's a quarter note and has a dot, you're going to hold it 1.5 times instead of 1. If it's, in this case, it's next to a half note, so you're going to, instead of holding it 2, you're going to hold it 3. So that's what those little dots are standing for. They're just telling you, hey, hold this note a little extra long. Okay. All right. I'm going to play it in first position because that's what I spend all my time talking about. But that just means my is going to have to reach over a little bit when I get to the 5s. Okay. Let's start on the 2. 1, 2. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Oh, 3, oh, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Oh, 5, 2, 3, 1, 2. 2, 5, 2, 3, 2. Oh, 3, oh, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Oh, 3. That's it. Okay. If you are a teacher, that's what you do. You have half the class play the melody, the other half of the class play the chords. If they're a brand new class in ukulele, you have some people play a G chord, some people play a C chord, some people play the D7. You have most of your players playing melody because they're going to need to be louder. And then you have the kid who's having a bad day. He's the drummer. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So all of a sudden, without really doing much work, you've got 3 parts right off the bat. If you've got some kids that are a little more advanced, or you might be teaching seniors, for goodness sakes, who knows what level it does there. It's all the same, right? If you've got a few players that are a little more advanced, instead of having them just strum the chords, have them pluck the chords. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so again, taking just this piece of information and being able to diversify it into a larger group of people, taking all of these individual skill sets apart, makes much better music, and 2, it means that everybody who's playing has a little bit easier part, and that's what we're after, right? We want everybody who comes to the piece of music to have their thing that they can do, and then we also want them to have one thing that's the next thing that they're working on that they're going to get better at. And for a lot of you, playing tablature is that next thing you're working on. And so those are just 2 of the basic ways that we teach everybody. I always teach reading tablature and melody first and then teach chords. And what most teachers these days are doing is teaching chords and singing and then quitting, right? And so yeah, I'm hopefully giving you a different set of tools and knowledge that you can pull out and turn it into a musical experience for yourself and for any type of group of people that you might be getting together. All right, now let's go on to the tough uke line. This is my bread and butter. This is what I think all of you really at the end of the day would like to be able to play. And I think what we're doing is just taking the chords, taking the melody, smashing them together. Basically, we're going to be holding the chord, and then when the melody gets weird, we're going to maybe have to make some adjustments on our right hand or on our left hand to get that right. So to start off with, as if all of the sheet music in fingerstyle, grab your chord first. That's what we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to walk you all the way through it. Then we're going to go back through and we're going to play it together. Okay, so by holding the G chord, the question is, are you already holding down a 2 on the 3rd string? The answer is yes. Okay, So I can pluck that. Then I have 0, 2, 3, which if you check your fingers, you're already holding down. So take your thumb. Okay, important thing to teach here is when you come down on that, your thumb is physically going to rest on that first string. The string you're not going to play, make sure your thumb is actually resting there. Okay. The other thing I forgot to mention, notice thumb right behind where my middle finger is and not visible from the front. That's what you want. Okay. All right. There's that. Next two notes are 2, 3, and you're already holding them down. So pluck, pluck, 2 and 3, and then measure 3. You have a nice G chord there, 0, 2, 3, 2. So strum everybody. Okay. Now you got a 0, so you're going to lift up your ring finger, hit the 0. And then you got 0, 0, 3. So now I'm going to lift up my index finger and play 0, 0, 3. And then I'm going to lift up my ring finger and hit the 0. Okay, so by just holding the G chord, I was able to hit basically every single note in the first 4 measures. I just had to lift up a few fingers. Okay, measure 5, I got a G chord again. I'm going to drop my G chord on and hit that bottom, hit the 2 on the 3rd string. I'm going to hit it again. Okay, now I got 0, 2, 3 again. 2, 3. I got a full G chord at measure 7. Okay, got a 0, so I'm lifting up my middle finger. Now looks like a mess, but don't worry, it's going to be fine. Take your bar, run it up and down on 2. Okay, that's going to get your 2 bar chord, and then to get the 5, because realize you're playing 2, 2, 2, 5. You're going to put your pinky up on 5. So that's the exact shape that you want it to be. Give that a nice strum. Okay, that gets our chord, which is in this case, instead of a D7, I have a D chord in there. And then I have this melody note, the 5 up there on top. This note that strum is going to last for 5 beats. 3 beats in measure 8 and 2 beats in measure 9. So when I hit me, 2, 3, 1, 2, then I'm going to lose my pinky. I'm already holding the 2 down with the bar, so I'm going to hit that 2. Now here's the hard part of the song. Put your G chord on at measure 10, and then put your pinky up on 5. When you first start, this really hurts. Okay, this can be quite a challenge. Okay, and if it's too much of a challenge, simply change out and lose your middle finger or lose your ring finger, change out to your middle finger, and then do it, and you might be able to get to that one easier. But I do like you, if you can, to do the G chord with your pinky, because it's going to be a lot more useful for stuff throughout your ukulele playing time. But for the moment, simplifying that to just those 3 fingers also works. Okay, all right. So we got the G chord with your pinky on 5. Let's strum that. Lose your pinky, and then a nice strum. Pull up your ring finger, your middle finger, to get the 0. Hit the 0, 0, 3, and then hit the 0, and then go back to your G chord. Nice strum here. 2 and 3. Okay, 2, 2, 2, 2. Nice, beautiful bar chord right here. Okay, hit a 0, and then put your G chord back on and strum 3 strings. Okay, the big thing with that bar, this is the one thing that you may fight, at least initially. If you don't fight it, I will feel gypped because I had to fight it. You may get your bar chord on, and it sounds like this. Okay, squeeze a little tighter. That's what we're after. But in the beginning, if your bar chord sounds horrible, just let that be the sound you make for now. Know that sound will go away. I never, ever let my students, and I don't want you to spend your whole day trying to get it perfect and just ruin your time playing ukulele. Just play a crummy one and move on. It's perfectly fine. It will go away. I have never not had it go away for anybody who was stuck with ukulele. So you'll be fine. All right, we're going to play from the top to the bottom. If you're with me, you're going to play just a thumb down for everything. Next level players, be working on pulling your claw in and playing it as that. In fact, why don't we do that? Let's play through it one time with our thumb, and then let's go back through and play the second time with the claw and see how we do. Okay, from the top, 1, 2. 3, 4, more time. So that's your goal, right? Whether it works right off the bat or not doesn't matter. That's something you work on. Strumming and plucking are both, they get you a different feeling whichever way you're playing. And so sometimes when I'm playing, I want that smooth, swooshy. Most of the time when I play, I love my thumb down. I just think it sounds really pretty. But there are times when you're wanting to be a little more specific, a little more fancy, a little bit more difficult. Just getting these right hand skills up to speed. That will separate you from your run-of-the-mill ukulele player. Spent the weekend kind of peeking in on different strum-alongs around on my feed, and saw a lot of run-of-the-mill. All right, now. Dum da 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 dum. Let's go next level, guys. Getting into Smile today. I spent way too long working on this one, and I'm kind of sick of it at this point. So you can send me notes about how you think it should be changed. I probably won't listen to you. Let's talk about the fact that my niece, who spent a year in Finland, just told me about the Santa Claus song from Finland. And so I guess what's going in this year's Christmas book. I'm very excited about that. Let's see. With Smile, we're still in the key of G, so that's what we were on with Amazing Grace. But now we're going to amp up the difficulty and complexity of the chords. And all week long, we're going to be talking about. It seems so much harder to play last year at this time. Carrie, I'm guessing that you've come a little bit of a distance. I'm delighted that that's easy for you now. What I want to talk about is in jazz, we're adding extra notes. And that's why almost every chord on here has some sort of stuff after it, right? And so when we talk about a G chord, it's just that, right? But when we talk about a G major 7th, it's got this different feeling to it. And all week long, we're going to be playing some jazz tunes. I'm iffy on jazz, generally speaking. I think that there's this notion out there that if you're super smart, you like jazz. But as far as I can tell, the only reason you like jazz is you happen to be old. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not one of those things that really speaks to me. Although I'm the guy that 17th century lute music speaks to, and I'm much more comfortable at the Renaissance Fair than I should be. What I want you guys to know, the reason we study jazz a little bit, we're going to just study a handful of jazz standard sort of everyday tunes, is to get you thinking about the fact that you can add extra notes into a chord and see what happens. Mess around, see if, hey, sometimes when I play a G minor, sounds cool. If I slide it up 2, it turns into this A minor, but not quite because I've left this string open. And so you end up with an A minor 6, which I actually went ahead and put in here. So when you are working on a song and you're trying to make it sound a little fancier, try messing around with some of your alternate chord forms. Try messing around with different things so that you're not always just playing the same exact set of chords in the same exact folk music-y kind of way. But let yourself mess around with the ukulele, be adventurous, try different chord shapes, let weird sounds come out of your ukulele. You'll accidentally find some that sound really cool. If you take, we all hate B flat, right? We hate that. But if you get rid of the top, you're fingering on the top string, but still play it, you get a G minor 7th. Now that's a cool chord, right? There's one that's worth knowing. And so that's what the best part about studying jazz is. It's going to kind of push you out of CF and G mentality and put you into this place where you're like, I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff after the name of the chord, and all that extra stuff is just telling you, hey, we're going to do some alternate fingering on it. The good news about jazz on ukulele is you only have four strings, so you can only have four possible tones at any given time, and so it kind of keeps you from getting into ultra advanced jazz. When you are a piano player and you're playing 10 possible keys at a time, you can get some real subtle shading to some of the chords that you do, and the more subtle shadings you do, the less listenable it becomes, and the more people hate the music that you're working on. So it gets where it sounds just like tin cans falling out of the back of a pickup truck. And what we have going for us is we just don't even have that complexity available. So most of the jazz tunes that we put onto this sound pretty good. They are harder to play because your chord shapes are going to be different, and we're going to run through this one. We'll take our time and see how we do. Now, normally I would go through and strum and sing it, but you guys can do that at home. This is not a complex song. What I do want to do is go through and play just the melody, because I want to make sure that you're okay with this version of it. One of the things that happens when I go with these songs that everybody knows is that nobody knows it, right? Everybody has their idea of what it should sound like in their head. And between folk music from certain cultures and like every time I arrange music from the Mexican culture, everybody in every little town has a slightly different version of the way they play that song. And so you can just never get it right. Same thing happens. There goes Henry again. He's busy today. There's also times when Polynesian music, anytime we try to put Hawaiian music on this thing, everybody's got their own idea of what it's supposed to be. And the same thing happens with Beatles tunes. There's only one way to play a Beatles tune, but when you fit it on this, you have to make compromises. And of course, they're never correct. So let's talk about the melody and what we're going to play. Again, threes, twos. What else do we got on here? Oh, we got some fives and sevens. So when you get to measure 8, probably slide up into fifth position to get your fives, your sevens with your ring. And I think that's it, right? I don't think we've only got that one little place where it goes up the fretboard, and you're going to be smile do ya da 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 da. Okay, and so you'll be up. I would recommend probably sliding up to fifth position to get that section, and then get back into first position is where we want to be. Okay, nice and slow. By the way, this song cannot be played too slowly. The slower you play it, the more you get to the real message, right? It's called Smile, and the whole thing is about smiling even though you're miserable. And so you cannot play this one too slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, oh, 2, oh, 3, 2, oh, 2. 3, oh, 3, 2, oh, 2, oh, 2, 3, oh, 2, 3, oh, 2, 3, 2, 3, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 3, 2, oh, 3. 5, 6, 5, 3, 2, oh, 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, oh, 3, oh, oh, 2. Now notice that note lasts 16 beats. Okay, if you're playing with a friend, you're done for a while. Go and let them take the time to get those chords put out. And then we go back to the song. Top of the song. Let's play it again. Ready, 2, 3, 4. Second inning. Sounds okay. Okay, a couple of places I just to let you know, there's two places I fought when putting this thing together. I don't necessarily love the way the melody is flowing from 7/8 to from 7 into 9. I went with what I've got because it sounds better when we add in the accompaniment. But feel free, if that's not your version in your head, to not be shy about messing around with that. Okay. Next thing then was, how do you decide on the chords? And what I love about jazz is when you sit down and you start your arrangement, you go and you pick up, you wander the internet and find half a dozen different versions of it, and everybody does something a little bit different in this, and that's going to happen in jazz, where guys come in and they put in what they think are cooler chords, and a lot of times those cooler chords are instrument specific. This sounds awesome on a piano, this sounds awesome on a guitar, whatever. So be brave and be mindful that you take that as advice when you're starting to do some of these advanced arrangements, and really be thinking about what are, if that doesn't sound right to you, mess around and try some other chords out and see what happens. There isn't a one-for-one relationship between turning something from simple chords into fancy chords. There are guidelines, right? But your goal is to break all the rules in music when you're working at this level. And so I think that these chords sound pretty darn nice with it. And Joyce just agreed with me. Actually, yours comes up over here. Joyce says I got some good chords on here. So and Joyce knows what she's doing. So let's find out, right? So we're going to take now, and we know the melody. And now we're going to take the chord shapes, and we're going to see, we often at this level, guys, have to make major adjustments to what the chord shape is on the little chart up above. It'll say G, and you're like, okay, I'm going to play a G chord. In this case, we happen to, but it's normal when you get to this level of playing where the chord looks nothing at all like the tough uke line that you're going to do. If you go to measure 9, for example, it's an A minor. That's what you would use to sing with it, but you're going to use this A minor way up here, okay, to get a much more fancy and interesting chord relationship to what's going on in the melody. So just know, as you reach this level of playing, and all week we're going to be at a level higher than last week and the week before. Well, we're going to be at a higher level than we played Bach. Let's just be honest with that. Bach seems like, oh, that's pretty good. That's fancy. We should be at a high level. Bach's pretty, honest to gosh, Bach is fairly basic, very cooperative when it comes to music theory. When you're playing jazz, very uncooperative. These guys are, they're all university trained musicians, and they want to push the envelope, and that's what we're going to be doing with most of the music this week, is finding cool sounds to go with what seems like should be a normal chord. Okay. Now, luckily, this song starts off pretty cooperative before it gets weird. Okay. So let's go through everything. We'll play through the whole thing, once, and then we'll go back through and we'll knock it out correctly. Okay. What time are we looking at? Oh, we're doing good on time. Okay. So first thing, grab your G chord. First chord is 0, 2, 3. That's just a straight strum. Sounds beautiful. You're going to hit that 2 again. Okay. By the way, that little 2 there, it's a decorative note, right? So you just to make it sound pretty, got an open, and then hit a 2 put your ring finger or middle finger back and hit a 2. Lose your middle finger. You're already holding the 3. Pluck that. Go grab your 2. Okay. Sometimes I will put down my middle finger to get that 2. Sometimes I'll just slide back to get a 2. Either of those are acceptable choices in terms of, how am I going to handle my instrumentation there. I will probably, when I actually play, I'm probably going to drag my ring finger back to get the 2. Hit the open. And now I've got some 2s going on here, 0, 2, 2. But notice the chord is 0, 2, 2, 2. So I might grab the whole chord. And grab the 2, 2, and then hit this 3. Open, go back to it. That looks like a G to me, even though it's a G major 7th. Slide that 2 back, hit the 0, and then hit it 2 again. It's the end of the first line. This is the one chord that I hate, and there's no way around. People all the time, they're like, how do I avoid playing an E major chord? That's not the problem on ukulele. E major is fine. You don't need to avoid E major. E minor is the one that's going to mess up your life, because you, in order to play this with any level of depth, you've got to play 4-4-0, and this four and the four on the third string is the same note as the second string. You get this da-da-dum, da-da-dum, and it always sounds weird to me. I don't know. I just don't like it. But that's the best way to get any kind of depth on this one at this moment. Then hit the 4 again. Now go hit the 2. Hit 0, 1, 0. Hit the 1. Hit the 2. Then you got a normal A minor here. Hit the open. And a regular E7. Hit the 2. Now we're going to start going up the neck, and it's going to sound kind of cool. Okay, hit the 3. Okay, 7, 8, 9. That's your E minor shape up on the 7th fret. That is going to turn it magically into an A minor, but we're going to leave this open so that this G string is going to reach out, which turns it into an A minor 6th. Okay, super cool. Hit the 9. Pinky on 10. And then you're already holding down the 7. That was the easiest fingering. There is a second choice, but you ended up sliding all around. So for my money, I'm going to play that. And then I'm going to hit the 9, hit the 10 with my pinky. And then I don't have to move my chord at all. It can be ringing the entire time while I do the melody note with this pinky. Okay, now I'm going to jump down and grab 2, 0, 0, 5. Go grab the 3. And grab the 2. Grab the 0. Got a nice regular C minor here. Hit this extra 3. Go pinky or ring, probably ring. Yeah, definitely a ring because you got the 6. Back to your strum with your ring finger. Well, lose the ring, play the 3. Go grab a 2. Open. Measure 13. You've got a G chord. And that little moment there, and I forgot to mention this at 8, but that little moment there, you see on next to 13, there's a fermata. It looks like an eyeball. What that means is, hey, you can take a little bit of extra time and put a little extra love into this note, and that's what we want to see, right? So when you get there, so just give that a little extra love, and then grab the 3, 2, 3, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. In this case, it's working sort of as an E minor, but it's actually going to sound like an A minor 7th, I think, or maybe +6, something like that. Okay, now you get the E minor in 2, 0, 3, and then measure 15 is a regular A minor. Melody note here. Okay, nice bar for a D6. Dum, dum, dum. A minor 6th, it's your G minor shape, slid up to 3. And then a B diminished on 4, okay, with these 2 on 5. And then I'm going to bring down the overall timbre down to a little bit lower feeling with a regular old D7. Okay, so that's what's going on there. I'm a fermata. Hold me. Nice job. Linda says, popular songs, 3 chords for 1,000 people, jazz, 1,000 chords for 3 people, as they say. I like that. I like that, Linda. That's exactly right. Okay. So now we've got that. Now, when we're going to go through and play it there, that's where we hit return and go back to measure 1. When we come back through, when we hit measure 15, we're going to skip that whole first 4 measures on the top of the page. That's this turnaround. And in jazz, you see that all the time where they will do so many bars, and then they have, depending on the complexity of the music, they'll either do 1, 2, 3, or 4 And depending on who, how many years, whether they have a master's degree or a doctoral degree, how many extra measures they will do before they finally turn it around and send you back to the beginning. That's where kind of the artistry happens, is in these fancy, really unique turnarounds. And you'll see that in all of the jazz standards from common area, I'd say in the 40s and early 50s, where they will have a fairly basic melody, one melody that we all know, but they'll play it 27 times, and each time they do this turnaround, they turn it over to somebody. He does a bunch of stuff, and then he says, "All right, I'm done with my soloing. Let's go back and play the song again." And so you can play the same song all around and around and around. It's very, very common, these jazz turnarounds, and it's kind of fun to work on, something interesting to do. So the first time we come through, we'll do that turnaround and go back. The second time we come around, we're not going to play that, and we're just going to go to the end, which is an A minor with a 2 on the top, D6. It's actually a D7, but the melody's on 2, so we'll just play a D6, and then a nice G chord. Let that ring for 4 beats, and then you're going to wrap up by putting index finger 10, 11, and 12. Okay, and that's a G chord up here. Remember when you hated B flat back here? Okay, that's where you're at in life. Is we hated this one, but now we're going to move it up to the 10th fret and turn it into a G chord, and that's going to sound really, really pretty. And I'm going to blow it when we get there, because I'm playing on a concert ukulele. It's all crunched together. Okay, so just know I'm planning on blowing the ending. Here we go. We're going to play it as written, all the way down, around, come back through and play it again. Okay? Stick with me. If you're just watching, good for you. You can critique me. Here we go. 1, 2, don't go fast. Second ending. And I'm pretty sure I raced through the ending of 20, 21, and 22. I should have let those play out a little bit longer. As you can, get it the way you want it. If you're playing with somebody else, make sure you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With tablature, that's the single biggest mistake we make is we don't count our long notes. You've got to count those long notes so you don't do exactly what I just did, which was to turn them all into 3-beat notes or chords. And so just make sure when you get to half notes, dotted half notes, and whole notes that you're always counting those in your head, because otherwise you're going to pull a Gary and not give them the proper due. And especially on this where you're kind of bringing the airplane into the hangar, you want to take your time to dun, 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 and then give you plenty of time to get that big G chord there at the end. I know, and I'll be practicing in the morning. So we'll play it one more time. We got enough time. It's 5:23. This week, this is on your agenda, right? By Friday, as you guys remember, by Friday, we're still gonna be locked in here, so you might as well just be coming around every day. And on Friday, we're gonna play everything from the week, and this will be on that collection. So this is a great week to get this piece together. By the way, this piece is never gonna suck. This is a wonderful piece of music, and you're playing Charlie Chaplin. Come on, guys! He wrote the melody, not the words. He wrote the melody. That's what a genius that guy was. And so you want to be taking this to take it to the house. Really, you don't have to play it fast. There's nobody timing you. You're playing with me on these videos, but when you're at home, take it as long and as much effort as you can. And I do think I wrote this in 3 different keys over the weekend to try to find the most playable key. And this I think is pretty close to the best and most playable version that I could have given you. And the other ones were bar chord mania, and I thought they're gonna chase me down. They're gonna not social distance after they see these arrangements. So this one's pretty open. It's not terribly complex with fingering, but I do think it gives you the opportunity to really get as much beauty and tone out of your ukulele as possible. And so that's what we're going to be working on. Let's play it one more time. Let me give you a little bit of paperwork to think about. One, Jerry played some Bach on banjolele, and thank you for that. You're a rock star. Don't send me banjolele videos. I'm serious. No, I'm kidding. Second thing, Leslie sent me in a melody she wrote over the weekend. The other 43 of you owe me some stuff, right? So don't be shy about recording yourself, writing stuff down, sending me an email. A few of you sent me emails on Friday or Saturday, and thank you for that. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. It turns out when you're teaching to a laptop, you're a genius. Every single thing I say is absolutely correct, and everything is going right into your head and making perfect sense. And I know the truth is at home that's not at all what's happening. So please, give me some feedback if something it makes perfect sense or no sense or whatever. It is helpful for me if you guys will write to me once in a while and let me know what you're doing with your ukulele life. Leslie, I think if I'm not mistaken, you're in the Shenandoah Valley, and so you're going to be taking some of this out to those peeps. And those of you guys logged in from other ukulele communities around the country and around the globe. We're getting people in from Canada, Vancouver today, which is exciting, and sometimes from Europe, and a couple people from Australia. We want to spread the thought that this instrument will do more than just accompany your singing voice, and frankly, will get you to a level of musicianship that's pretty pleasant to hang out with. So let's be thinking about that. Everything I post will be at jollyrogerukulele.com. And so this week, I don't have all of the jazz standards posted yet because I am reviewing them just to make sure they're as clean as I can get them. And then I'll post them as I get them done. I will have whatever the next one is. I think it's all I can't remember. Anyway, I'll get that posted either tonight or in the morning. Don't lose your mind. You got plenty of work to do on these 2 pages. If this is all you did the whole week, that would be pretty good. And let's see what else. I think that's enough, right? Don't check in on the website periodically. It's all on the front page. There's a couple of interesting things on the ukulele tab that you may not have on the front page, and there's a couple of things on the teacher tab that you do want to have. So just don't, that's all there for you. Go take it. It'll make you a genius. Let's see. Couple of thoughts over here before we play it one last time. I wrote my song today, but didn't send it. Come on, Fran, send it. Have a couple more changes I'd like to make. Fran, what I know about music is there's always a couple more changes you'd like to make. That's one thing that I can tell you with years and years of writing music, that there is always something else you want to change. And the minute you post it, about an hour and a half later, you find other stuff you wish you'd have done to it. Alex, glad you're here. Thanks. Even Boulder, Colorado loves me. Boulder has an amazing strum group up there. I want you guys, and actually a few of you guys are getting together for a new Boulder orchestra. I'm hoping that takes off. And I went to college in Boulder, so I have a huge number one mistake anybody makes in life: moving out of Boulder. Don't ever do it. Just stay there for your entire life. It was just live in La La Land. That's the correct thing to do with Boulder. Joyce taking out my this weekend. So yeah, Joyce, come on, sign us. What the heck? All right, yeah, no, they'll put you down. Let's see. Yeah, Shenandoah Valley ukulele players. If any of you are in the neighborhood, they are on Facebook. Go check them out. I saw a picture of them today. They got a whole big, huge group. Marie, you're welcome. Deborah. All right, let's play it one more time. Subscribe here so you don't necessarily have to log in through Jolly Roger Ukulele. Thumbs up because I'm awesome, or not, whatever. And then the chat box is there. Let's play it one more time, whole thing all the way through. I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to try to play as clean and as pretty as I can. And let's see what you can do with it. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you want to do. See how close you can get, right? Okay, guys, that's enough for today. Arlo, good to see you. Logged in right at the last minute, or probably been around a while and just now saying hi. Glad you guys could stop by. Have a wonderful Easter Sunday. It's snowing here in Denver and probably up there in Boulder too, right? And again, send me emails if you have questions, compliments, concerns, questions, mostly compliments. and hope you have a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Tomorrow, we'll be right back here every day at 4:30 Mountain Standard Time, and whatever time it is out there in your part of the world, and we'll just keep at it. Please let other people in your networks know what's going on, that they got a chance to really become a fine instrumentalist. We're not taking anything away from strumming and singing. That's absolutely a fun thing to do. Just gives you one more way to play the ukulele, and hopefully you guys will continue to progress and find something meaningful here, and hopefully go out and teach it into your communities. Thank you all for everything. Wow, being really nice bunch of thank yous. Bruce, not in Arizona anymore. Oh my gosh, things are going crazy. I will see you tomorrow. Everybody, thank you. It snowed in Bozeman this morning as well, right? So it snows every morning in Bozeman. Who are you kidding? Vicki, we know what Bozeman's all about. Alan, good to see you. My goodness, how exciting. So have a wonderful day, you guys. I'm going to put a wrap on the stream, and you got a good song to work on for tonight, and I will see all of you tomorrow. I'm going to end the stream.